Okay, that works. Yay! Not the first time I have forgotten an important part, so I get to start over. Good evening. How is everybody doing? So glad you're here. Boy, has it been a hectic night. Most of it my fault. But anyway, I just wanted to share with you. Thanks for the heads up, Steve, on the audio. I had it. Well, I won't go into that. It's not the first time I've forgotten to introduce something and then not actually push it out to the stream itself, because I get two views of this. One is the preview, and then one you press a button and that pushes it out there. So you make changes in the preview and it looks like everything's okay. So I'll start over. Roger will not be here tonight. He will be okay. Thank you all for your concerns that have been expressed. He had his gallbladder removed. He was actually in the hospital when he called me today. He appears fine. We did some FaceTime together. He is in good spirits, but he's not. He's in the hospital, so that kind of precludes him from being here. We actually thought about trying to put this together anyway from the hospital bed, but the Wi-Fi is so unreliable there. It comes and goes, and when you do this kind of thing, it takes quite a bit of bandwidth to do that. So then I kind of thought, well, hey, let me use this as an opportunity to find someone to just kind of fill in. So late this afternoon, I went out on Twitter and got poking around, and ran into a friend of a friend of a friend, and I was on the phone just this evening, just a few moments ago, with someone who will be appearing, probably Wednesday night, not as a regular guest, I don't think, maybe, well, you never can tell. Let me see if I can pull that up in our chat room so I can kind of let you know who I'm talking about. Her name is Drew, and I don't know much about her at this point, but we were having a conversation tonight, and I'm getting that link for you. I know this looks a little unprofessional, but so what? So I'm going to be doing some research. She's written a few books. She serves as a missionary. She is also involved in starting a school of journalism from a Christian perspective. Her background is journalism, so I think that'll be kind of interesting. And so I'm kind of looking forward to that. I realize how crazy things look back there. I'm experimenting with something tonight. I had little to lose. Why not try it out? So we'll be in touch with her Monday. Now, another person I was in contact with today. Oh, let me back up and say this. I say always, it is my goal, and I usually am successful in getting about a 1, maybe hour and a half nap in the afternoon. So I put a few things out and kind of shut the blinds, turned on the ceiling fan, got my German Shepherd up there, and laid down, and 4 hours later, I woke up panicked, like, oh, yeah. Anyway, I was on the phone today with, you probably remember Freddie Davis from the other night. He introduced me to his, what he calls his ministry partner, who's named Tal Davis. Now, they are of no relation. They're not related, I should say. Gosh, we must have talked an hour this morning, and very interesting guy. Tal's worldview is Freddie's expertise. Freddie has served as an international missionary, and in that capacity, he had to learn to connect with people who did not necessarily believe in the same things. There was a language barrier when he was serving in Japan, but in addition to that, when you say things like God, Jesus, well, those don't mean the same thing to them as they would mean to us as Christians. So he's developed this whole lens through which he sees reality in its worldview. If you go to marketfaith.org, you'll find book after book after book, but there's a fabric that is woven in a thread that is woven through that fabric. Worldview. That's kind of his topic. And I know it's a little intellectual and a little heady, but at the same time, I think it's interesting if you take the time to allow yourself to sort of engage at a more intellectual level to understand some of the things that we're going through in our country. So I was glad to have him on the other night. I hope to have him on again and again and again. We'll see how that goes. We certainly talked about it. But he's, well, it's complicated. However, he did introduce me to his ministry partner, Tal Davis. Now, Tal Davis, Freddie talks about, differences in religious thought from within the religious thought. Now, Tal talks about interfaith ministries. In other words, what do, within I should say theist camp, of which Christianity is, there's all kinds of religions. There's Jehovah's Witness, there's Mormon, there's Jewish, there's Catholic, and then there's cults too as well. The New Age movement. So Tal works that is the discipline within he works. And I told him, I said, well, Tal, I don't want to get on the air and try to divide us up. I said, I work with some Catholics. Roger is a devout Catholic. I said, and I certainly don't want to have anybody come on and say, here's why they're wrong and we're right. And he fully understood that. I said, we work with, we had our friend from Israel, Sasha, on the other night. I said, we work with some Jewish. I said, we're not, we're about unity, but at the same time, we want to respect one another's faith in the recognition that there are irreconcilable differences between our practices of our faith. Does that make sense? And he fully understood that. I said, however, by the way, believe you may find this hard to accept or shocking. Islam is a monotheistic religion. It started. And I said, there's a lot of talk politically about, Islam and radical jihadist Islam, terrorism and things like that. I said, but is it possible that maybe we should get a better understanding instead of just throwing them all in the same pot, and saying they're all evil? That Islam itself is just another faith. And of course you will read on Twitter that their faith openly calls for the killing of everybody not in their faith. I thought, well, does it mean that? Does it say that? He would actually be the expert on that. The other thing we talked about is, you'll hear the phrase that Islam is the religion of peace. Well, you have to understand the word peace to someone practicing Islam means something perhaps different from what we think of peace. We think of peace as this state of we all coexist and each practice our own individual liberties, and we're not in conflict with one another, but we do practice various religions and religious traditions. We have a peace between, Catholics and Jews and Christians and Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses, but we're all Americans. We all live here and peacefully coexist. That's not what is meant by peace in the Islamic sense. Peace is when there is no one left to subjugate. Everybody's converted to Islam. So that helps us understand and helps explain why there is such tension and conflict as these two religions clash and intersect. Their goals, when they say peace and what we mean is peace, are two very different things. So Tal's very expert in those matters. Things like Sharia law. Yeah, Okay. I think that's it. Trying out some new studios for when we don't have a guest. I call it the solo studio. Obviously, this is just thrown together last minute. So hope you kind of like the new gig. We've got several digital assets. That these things come in packages, so I'm trying to just kind of put things together here to where, and we can obviously put something other than the globe spinning back there. I can put anything I want back there, but so I'm just kind of experimenting with some new ideas. All right. Well, I've stolen enough of Hazards 4's time being our host tonight. I always enjoy his soothing. Oh, by the way, as I was you thought, oh, he's almost done. No. I'll be reaching out to Steve Free. Quite an interesting character. He is a native Indian, American Indian. And it has influenced some. I was kind of checking out his YouTube channel. Had some ideas I was going to make a video. I've decided that would not be a good idea after doing some research. I haven't contacted him about that. But Steve, yeah, I really would like, that we could have some interesting guests here for our live segments to give people a reason to come here. You all are very faithful. Well, I appreciate that, but we need to break out from this core group and start recruiting in some new faces and new people, and have some fun doing it. So speaking of having fun, I'm really going to turn it over to Steve this time. So Steve, get ready to play some tunes. I could use a little soothing of my soul, and we'll see you next time right here from PJNet Live.